Can I tell you the most common thing I hear from teachers? They say, my students can find evidence, like check. They can write a sentence, and sometimes maybe better than others, and they need support. But then when it comes time to actually prove something with their writing, like to actually argue a point, it can fall apart. And teachers can often say, what am I missing? How do I explicitly teach that? How can this look in writing instruction? And so from students, I hear, I don't know where to start. I don't know how to organize my thinking. I really have some ideas, but it's hard for me to express them or put them on paper. And then sometimes they'll even say, I don't know what the teacher wants, or I don't know what the expectation of the writing could look like. So if any of these types of scenarios sound you're in the right place, because today I'm going to introduce to you a Monarch way of writing, and it's a writing instructional framework. So think about a strategy instruction, right? That's what we call it in the field. So this strategy is going to help you answer those problems from teachers and from students at exactly the same time. And that's why I love this. So this is a huge power move that you can add into your instructions. Or if you're a student watching this video, then you're at the right place, because this can help you as you are framing out your ideas and how do I kind of organize and get this thing started. So stay with me. It possibly can change the way you feel about writing instruction as a teacher, because this can give you the actionable tools that you can like put into play. So this is going to be a whole writing series. This is just video one. And this video one is like an introduction, a step into SOAR, okay? And then if you're a student, maybe this is going to change your thinking about writing. And I pray that it gives you the confidence that you need in order to step into any space that asks you to write, and you can feel more confident, self-assured, and you have a starting place in your mind because you can soar. So if you can remember SOAR, you're going to be good to go. So welcome. So I'm Dr. Jen Lowry, and I am the owner of Monarch Educational Services. So that's why you will hear like the Monarch way. And yes, I love the Mandalorian. So the Monarch way. And I want you to reach out to us. My email is monarcheducationalservices@gmail.com. My website is monarcheducationalservices.com. So that's me. I'll tell you a little bit about me. I am currently a full-time professor in the School of Education. So love education, love research. I have been around for quite a few years now in the educational sphere in many different ways. So I'm a retired homeschool mama. I'm going to say that first. So both of my boys have graduated high school through homeschooling, through elementary, middle, and high, and are off to college. So I'm a retired homeschool mom. I'm also a retired public school educator. So I have, with my combined experience, I have 30 years in this work. And my lane is secondary literacy. So when you think about secondary literacy, it's around 4th grade through 12th grade. And hey, let's talk about it. College too needs this kind of support. And I'm also certified in special education. So you're going to get like the best of both worlds. You're going to get secondary literacy expertise, but you're also going to get that layered in with scaffolds and supports that can help for differentiated experiences and writing supports and scaffolds that can help your students grow. So now that you know what I'm up about, you know, like who I am, I want us to kind of get started about the kind of driving thoughts around why I'm making this video. And this series is going to be built on this premise that every student, all students can write with clarity and confidence when they are given explicit instruction and the right scaffolds. So that's where I'm going. Not some students, not the advanced ones, not the ones who just love English class and are like ferocious readers and carry books all around with them in stacks. And they have so many writing models that they can lean against. No, just let's think about every student that we serve can tackle writing in some way by being modified, with accommodations. We're going to talk about those in other videos. But right now, we're going to be focusing on the SOAR framework. So let me go and talk with you about this overview. So I'm going to talk to you about what's SCORE, why it works, how it was developed. Then I'm going to talk with you basically this video about the 4 SOAR steps. So now we're just going to look at the steps, and I'm going to give you a research article that if you have access to research journals, trust me, you're going to want this one around your writing instruction. If you don't do it, I have pulled a quote from it that is hopefully going to just let you know, trust me on this. And there's tons of articles out there about strategy and instruction around writing. So this isn't just the one and done article, okay? But I love meta-analyses because the researchers all get together and they compile the research and they look for patterns and themes and they break it all out for us in one lovely, very long document. And that's what I'm going to be using as a basis for today. So instead of taking you to 20 different articles, I'm going to just take you to one. I'm going to give you some words that you can now springboard into your own research, because that's what research should do for you. It should give you the vocabulary and the basis and the understanding of the concepts, and then have you start asking questions and asking why, and I need more, and can I see this one, and what's next? And so hopefully with these words, you can now springboard out and start looking up different articles about writing instruction. So I do want to let you know that in the series, we are going to move to classroom implementation with additional videos, and we're also going to go into part 3 of the series, which I want to talk with you about that UDL, Universal Design for Learning, aligned differentiated strategy. When you are working with diverse student populations, and it can just give you some tips and tricks and supports of what you need in order to put SOAR into action, right? But before we can do that, I need to teach you about SOAR. So let me change the slide. All right. So I built this, okay? This is our instructional framework and how we do things with our writing instruction at Monarch. And there may be other acronyms out there in the world that go around writing, but of course, you know, the English teacher in me has got to go around our butterfly theme, right? And how can we soar in our writing? So this is working. It works for me. I hope it works for you, because I have a good feeling that it will. So if you have another frame that you're using that's very similar to SOAR, you're going to see how you can line them up and compare them. But I've got an extra step in here that is heavily research-based, and I know that it works. And it's a little different from maybe some of the other frames that you might have been using in the past. And when I get to that letter, I'm going to tell you why it's so vital, it's so important. So here we go. And I'll also tell you at the end why we're doing SOAR as a whole instructional framework and why we're breaking it down, because this is one of what I've heard. Now, you can nod, you can say yes, you can tell me in the comments, but I have heard for so many years that writing instruction is very challenging for teachers. So that's why I really want to break this down step by step, so you can get a grasp and a good firm understanding of how you can put this into play tomorrow. And then you just go with it, right? Take your learning lab, take your classroom, and continue to experiment with SOAR. So I'm never going to start a research-based, evidence-based practice with you without kind of showing you where I got this research from, because this isn't just something that I made up off the top of my head, okay? Well, SOAR is, but the strategy instruction is not. So let me explain to you that Graham, who is like Stephen Graham, if you're anything around writing instruction, you know that name. He is also at a university, and he has done this great research article, and I love it. And it's current. It's 2025. I've given you the resource down here. Effective writing instruction for students in grades 6 to 12, a best evidence meta-analysis. And I told you it was pretty long, right? But it's perfect for what you need in order, so you can say, okay, well, where do I start? You can SOAR, as we can see, has a strong effect size when we are teaching strategies. And strategies can really help students the planning, the organizing, the steps, the procedures in a way that can make it where they can hold on it mnemonically, they can hold on to it and practice it in an explicit, systematic way. And so strategy instruction, now it's instruction, it has to be taught. So you have to teach this strategy to your students. And I'm going to say, give it a good 3 times of a model before you move out and say, okay, now we're going to try this on our own. And you can break it up. I'm going to give you some tips in the implementation phase. But I need you to understand that if you teach students explicitly and directly how to plan and organize their writing, then there is a statistically significant effect size of 0.59. Now, y'all, if you know anything about me, you know I'm a huge John Hattie fan too, because I love what John Hattie does as he's showing those effect sizes and really breaks it down for teachers to understand what can move that needle for student achievement. And so I really like even going back to John Hattie's work just to understand the different effect sizes and the layers of this. So we see a 0.59, which is statistically significant. We definitely know that strategy instruction works, okay? But it has to be taught explicitly now. Remember that. It's not just like you're going to throw SOAR at somebody and say, take off. That's epic fail, right? But also with the self-regulated strategy development, now that's a word, SRSD. If you've never heard of it, that's a springboard word for you. If you're using it with an SRSD model, then you are definitely going to get a 0.84. Y'all, that's huge. Definitely going to work. So this is considered one of the most powerful writing interventions identified in the research literature. So, and it's going way back to the 80s. There's a lot of stuff around SRSD. Absolutely love that model. So self-regulated strategy development is something that I have used from like day one of my teaching. So I have been working around strategy instruction for close to 30 years. I did it with my homeschool children. I did it in public school. I did it at a district level. I'm doing it at a college level. I'm telling you, throughout all of the different avenues and jobs and class settings and student experiences, this is where your power moves take place. Okay. And so there's research to back that up. Great article, by the way. Go check it out. Hopefully I can write one of those one day. All right. So where do we start? So as you could see, SOAR is a 4-step instructional writing framework, and strategy instruction is so important when we're teaching difficult tasks. And let's face it, writing can be very difficult. And teaching the writing, some teachers will say it's difficult. I have always loved teaching writing. Even when I was in 4th grade teaching writing as a co-teacher, absolutely love those experiences in special ed when we used to have the writing test in North Carolina. I don't know if you guys even remember that, but I was even like, oh, I want to do 4th grade because I love teaching writing so much. And yes, I'm an author, and yes, I have a publishing company. So I love the written word, and I love playing around with words. And here I am with SOAR. So of course, S stands for state the answer or the claim. So that's number one. So here's my number one tip for you. That's great. We can state the answer or the claim. We can state that first. You need to have students practice speaking the claim, because oftentimes students will say, well, I don't know how that works in like a sentence, but they could possibly tell you the answer. I see it happen all the time. One of the strategies that I used with one of my students who was a multilingual learner at the high school level is I would have him to record him speaking out loud his answers and just talking around his ideas, almost as if he was like brainstorming and getting all of that out, and he would speak it. And then we would take that and then we would clarify it, clean it up, revise and refine, and we would move it into a one clear, focused sentence. So sometimes speaking it or recording it helps. So that is just one I'm going to throw out there right now as a tip. Now, if the student does not know how to speak it, Now, I know, yeah, you see frames here, right? You see scaffolded sentence starters, love me some sentence starters, but they still don't really know the position that the author is trying to claim, or they really don't know their thoughts around it because they haven't enough background knowledge. Their schema is not built around this topic. And so they may just struggle with stating what the answer could be because they don't have access points or those entry points into the topic strong enough to really be able to say what they think about it. You're going to skip S and you're going to go to O. So you have to kind of fill it out and kind of see where your students are. I'm going to talk with you about why this works for some students. And as you can see, this framework, this SOAR, the way that you adapt it and modify it for your students is specially designed instruction. Sound familiar, my special ed folks? So just know that when we're thinking of SOAR, when we're building out our paragraphs, it does have to start with that topics in it. So let's state the answer or the claim. You got to just state it out. You got to be very clear so your audience understands your position or the author's position. So there we go, right? That was clear. It anchors your writing. And I'm going to just read off the screen why it matters. So research demonstrates that students who explicitly state a claim before writing produce significantly more coherent argumentative essays. So I want you to think about like how the claim is the anchor where all the other thinking and the ideas flow or follow. So then what if they can't speak it? Then you're going to let the evidence speak for itself. So you're going to skip this and then you're going to search for evidence first. So if you have to change this S for S, state the answer or claim, and you have to modify and say, search for evidence, then that's how you do. You can change that because you're going to learn how students work best and how they tackle this, but you're also going to learn how versed they are around that topic or prompt that you're asking them to do. All right. So they have to, before a student ever writes a single word, have them try to say that claim out loud. And they've got scaffolded sentence starters right here for them on the screen. And I've got documents for this stuff. If you guys, at the end of the series, we're going to be putting a packet together and we're going to be showcasing this work. So I'm excited about that. So stay tuned. So I want you to think where this could be a challenge. And have you ever read students writing that could look like this? So think about how many papers that you've read that feel like a student just started writing and figured out their argument like somewhere in the middle. I've seen that. The S is going to solve that. It's going to eliminate it. So you have to know what you believe before you begin to prove it, or you have to know how the author's proven it before you can even talk and state the answer. So one sentence, that's the whole job of that S. That S step, it anchors everything that comes after it, okay? So, yes, in the future, you're going to see some anchors with some monarch butterflies because this S is the anchor, all right? So now I want to go to the next slide. Now, offer the best evidence. And I know you're thinking, wow, she used offer when we usually are like, you know, find the evidence or cite the evidence, right? And I want to tell you why I use this word offer. Now, remember I told you like the English in me, the English teacher in me loves word choice. So when I think about if I'm offering you something, I'm thinking of it as I'm offering you a gift. I'm offering the reader a gift of the strongest, the quality, the strongest evidence that I can find so you can understand really the heart of that message or the point that is being debated, and that these are solid, strong pieces of evidence that really can support that can either sway someone or have them question more, because isn't that what writing is supposed to do, right? So I want you guys to look at this O in a multi-layer again. So yes, the goal it's going to be to provide self-specific evidence. And I'm going to tell you why 2 is important, because you can't just kind of stick with one piece of evidence. I mean, you could, okay, you could, but would it make your argument even stronger if you had two and they were from various sources and they were either saying very similar things or they were building off of the other or taking it to the next level? So when you're thinking about how to set up your offering of your best evidence, that means you're offering two presents to your reader. And you find your golden lines in your evidence, in your articles, in your blogs or your websites or videos or whatever it is that you're watching, that you're citing. And then you're going to do it either by directly quoting it or you're going to paraphrase it. Okay. So here's the deal. You think of O as an offering. And I want you to move your mindset from just, oh, I got to go find some evidence. No, you're not. Yeah, you're finding it, right? You are finding it, but you're offering this as a gift to your reader, because that means you're providing quality, strong evidence from multiple sources. And you want to give your reader the best gifts, right? And so in order to give them the best gifts, sometimes when you're out there finding evidence, you'll notice that there could be some weaker points here, and you really don't want to do that. You want to have a strong argument. You're wanting to build a strong case, right? So this produces measurably stronger writing, and students need concrete scaffolds and strategies to help support their evidence. So we do have some frames here for you. I also have additional frames that we're going to be sharing at the end of the series. I also love the order of the evidence, because when you're ordering evidence, let's say you're out there and you're collecting, you're an evidence collector, like with your butterfly net, right? Yes, that's coming. That's already been built out. You're evidence collecting, you're swooping it in. Well, now you've got these pieces of evidence and now you've got to order them. So you've got to make sure that when you are lining up your paragraph, your argumentative piece or your statements, and how you're lining this up, you really want to catch that reader just in that net too, right? So you can order your evidence to ensure quality. Now, I love an article, and I did not cite it on this. Oh, it just came to my mind. Teaching secondary students to write effectively. That is through the U.S. Department of Education. Absolutely love that article. It is a book. It is like 90 pages. Absolutely love it. And there's a strategy in there called rank the evidence. And so it's kind of like similar to what I'm trying to explain to you, where you collect, but then you start ordering it out. And I'm going to give you some practical tips on how you can do that in your classroom. And I'm sure you've done some ordering routines with your kids before, but we've got some the Monarch way. So that can hook your kids in. So offer the best evidence, okay? And I just love the word offer here. To me, it's intentional, it's purposeful, and I think it elevates us in our way that we can express this step to our students so they can understand that this is really where the heart of the work is, right? Like, if you don't have good evidence, if you didn't get a good gift, you're going to be a little disappointed, right? And so you really want to give the best gifts, and you want to receive the best gifts as a reader. So you're hoping that when you're reading something, you're able to take in the best gifts. So what did that author offer to you? So yes, I'm sticking by offer the best evidence. I love it. I'm going to use it forever. SOAR is our Monarch Way framework. Absolutely love this. So, all right. So you ready? Okay. So I'm going to go to the next step. Let's go. Let's go. Okay, and I went too far. Analyze it. Now, this is where I've had teachers kind of hit roadblocks with students. And you can tell me in the comments if you have found that this analyze it piece offers problems as well to your students. And that means that they have to critically think around. They have to do some deep thinking and some diving in around what that evidence is actually saying. And they have to learn how to paraphrase that, then connect that, and then take it to that bigger picture piece, right? Because that's what we were wanting them to do. So it's like they're having to put together these pieces of this puzzle as they are analyzing something, as they are analyzing that golden line. And I'm going to give you some strategies, but the first one, and I have said this to my students, if my students are out there watching, I love you guys, ask why. Bottom line, if you ask why, That is the greatest question ever. Why? You just keep doing that and just why? Why does it matter? Why does it matter? Like, why is power? Okay. And I would even have quizzes for my students at the high school where they would have to put it down on sticky notes. I would give them credit. What is the greatest question you could ever ask? And they would write why and hand it in. Seriously, y'all. I would do that work. But I do believe that analyzing the textual evidence that you are providing in your papers or in your paragraphs gives you that competitive advantage, because that really shows your lens, your perspective, the way that you can like piece things together in order to show that my dog is barking. I don't know if you guys can hear that, but I'm really working through this. My husband's saying that this microphone is like top notch, and you're not going to hear Choopy like I do. But she must hear something outside, or she's wondering, who am I talking to? But so sorry, I kind of lost it right there a minute. But my tip for you, let's just go back, is to ask why. And to me, this is the step that separates just average writing or writing for completion to a level of excellence. So if you're looking at your rubric, and we are going to do some writing rubrics together, because you can't have writing without a rubric. If you're going to do these rubrics, I really believe that this is where the struggle can happen, but also where you can get that shine to happen. So we are definitely wanting our students to not gloss a step at all. They really may struggle with this one. So I think some key words that you're going to use in frames are going to kind of help you take your kids from just making that short sentence of this is it, like just as a paraphrase, to the word because or reveals or supports. If you're using those as your connector pieces within your sentences, it kind of forces the students to go just a little bit more instead of just doing a basic paraphrase of what the evidence directly quoted said, right? So I think that is going to help. So that's another tip. So that's why my sentence frames actually have because or reveals, supports right there. This connects, this showcases, this highlights. So you're moving away from just rephrasing or paraphrasing. So what I've seen, I'm going to read this right off the screen for you guys because I think this is so important. And this is what I've seen in my work with students. And it's like this analysis lift is the number one weakness in student writing. I find that the frames can help to teach these academic language components that sometimes our students might struggle with, and how do they get that thing started. So I think that the language of literary analysis can get them started, and then that kind of helps bridge them into pushing their thoughts around the evidence and why it matters. I'm going to give you some practical strategies, some peer work around this, and collaborative moves that you can do around analyze it, because they're going to need the modeling and support here at this step, just like you would have done with or ordering the evidence and offering the best evidence or stating the claim, or maybe we skip down to the evidence first, right? And so then they can work backwards. Like you're going to learn your students, and you're going to know where there's areas that are, I'm just kind of giving you a heads up. This could be the place. Okay. That could really kind of get a little roadblock here, because this is where the analysis lives, like where that thinking happens. So I'm going to spend a whole video on each one of these. Okay. So I'm breaking it down. This is our overview. This might be all you need. You just might need the SOAR framework. You just might need these scaffolds, me explaining it to you in this like high level overview, and you're good to go. But I am going to set up a video series, and analyze it is going to be a part of it. Each one is going to be broken out of our 4-step framework. All right. One of my favorite parts. Let's get ready. So this is where I do believe SOAR sets us apart. And I believe that thinking about the self-regulated strategy development model, thinking about metacognition, thinking about the writing as a writing process. Man, how many of you have had students, now let's just say this, right? They just want to write, and it could be a pattern for you, for yourself. like, oh, you're doing this report and you're done, and you're like, I did my report. I don't have to look at it again. And maybe you don't. However, you are a proficient writer, right? You've had years of writing experience, but your students, not normally, they really need to stay on this R, this revise and refine. So I want to say to you that I've heard my students, after they've done that first draft, they've got it down, they can see it on paper, or they can see it on their screen, because we do a lot of assistive technology. So they're seeing it. Guess what? I'm done. I'm finished. Raise their hand. They want to close their screen down. I don't even want me to look at it. I'm like, no, you're not. Because writing instruction does not stop at completion. It doesn't. You have to teach students that revision is not an extra step. You have to teach them that it's just not an add-in. If you just have a couple more minutes before the bell rings and, oh, now you can do like a revise. Like, this has to be where it's like a priority. It is where the deepest thinking happens, honestly. And we must make time for it. And we have to take it as a routine, and we have to do it each step. Each step has to have this review piece in it, or your students are not going to understand that the writing process includes going back, checking thinking, aligning, maybe changing up words, testing the evidence, talking with others around their work, writing coaching, writing workshops, peer reviews. And I've got one of the best peer reviews in the world, and it is called Fly. And yes, that is going to be a peer strategy that I'm going to be sharing with you, because that is a part of the Monarch way. So yes, we have our own Monarch curriculum that is going to be coming out soon. I'm so excited about that. And so this is going to be just another video. I'm going to talk about the Fly strategy, but I want you to understand that this is where the true thinking and wrestling with ideas and working things out can happen. So this is one of that, like, revision is the most cognitively demanding writing stage, but it also requires the most direct instruction. Like, they're going to need support with this. Oh, that's my child. My child's calling. I'll get to him in a minute. So I just want to make sure that you see some of these revision checklist pieces. Now, when students start asking themselves some of these types of questions, now this is a claims check, an evidence check, an analysis check, a word choice check. Now you can see that that follows along with the SOAR framework. And I have given you questions here. Our whole curriculum is based around this claim, evidence, analysis, and word choice check. But you can modify these words, because sometimes students in their own way, and maybe it's, can I say this better? Instead of like, can I say this more precisely? Can I use more precise? Can I say this better? Or can I advance my ideas? Or can a peer help me refine my why, which is the analysis check? And that reminds them that they need to go and do a Fly routine. Maybe it's, am I showcasing the best evidence? Or does my evidence match my answer? And so you can make these questions, modify them with basic language if you need to. And then this is where it happens. This is when your students become more fluent in their writing, because this is a part of that process that really is that iron sharpening iron. And you can use that Bible verse with this, and you can show them that visually with a Bible verse images, because I truly believe that revising and refining is where you take your writing instruction and really turn it into gold. Okay. So if we can teach our kids, our students, that writers don't just write a one and done, and that can be the mindset, that they critically analyze their own words, they critique it through self-monitoring. Oh my gosh, I could spend all day talking about self-monitoring, because when students learn to refine their writing, they learn that their first draft is not the finished line. It's the starter place for stronger thinking. So the research behind all of this is so powerful. Every single step, there is research behind our SOAR. And I want you to know that with confidence, that I would never put anything up here that would not be research-based. I feel very strongly about that. And you're going to have a series coming up. And I'm really excited about that. And so here's what I want you to know about our next steps. So I'm going to skip over. I have a student example in here that we're going to talk about more. I'm giving you a Bible verse for this one. But I want to talk with you like, yes, this is part one, but I want you to know what each step is going to do. Okay. And so for some of you, this might be enough for you to walk into your classroom tomorrow and kind of pick up SOAR and start doing your learning lab model. That's our Monarch way with our learning lab. So yeah, start using it. That's wonderful. Reach out to me, show me samples, show me what's happening with your students, get some testimonials for me, because that's going to help us build up our curriculum too as a small business. So thank you. Thank you for watching this video. If you haven't yet, subscribe, like it, share it with your other teacher friends. But if you want to go deeper and you really want to understand why each one of these steps work and how you can kind of break it out and really take your writing, if you're a teacher watching this, like how to teach it to students who might struggle with writing, or how to use SOAR to even build complete, complex, sophisticated paper. So of course, as you know, video 2 is coming, and it's just going to be about the S step, and it's how to teach students to write that strong, focused claim sentence, and including what to do, like if it's too broad or too narrow, or if they're just restating the question, but they're not actually getting to the heart of that answer. They're just paraphrasing. So that's what that one's about. And I'll give you some tips and tricks. We're going to do SOAR. So we're going to do those. Then we're going to talk about building a complete paper out the Monarch way, which is pretty unique. It works even at the college level. I can attest to that because I've had 3 boys working this English in college. So it works there too. We're going to have a video about our FLY peer review strategy that I talked with you about. I'm just going to have to stay tuned. These are being built out as we speak because it's going to be a full writing series. And I'm really excited about it. Research, and it's built to be used, not just watched. So I want you guys to start using this SOAR framework. Tell everybody about the Monarch way. I can't wait for you to grab all of our resources at the end of this video series. And before I let you go, number one, if this video's helped you, or if it's confirmed your thinking around writing, or if you want to try something new from the series, hit the bell, subscribe, let me know in the comments. Second, just tell me what grade you teach. I would just love to know, are you homeschool, public, private, charter, university level? So that way, when I'm planning these series pieces out, that I can think different grade levels in mind. You know, I'm all about secondary literacy, 4th through 12th, and college level. So, but I can bring in some things later on that can talk about earlier grades. And then, if you're a teacher and you're a mentor, or you have a PLC that you're talking about writing with, and maybe you just know someone struggling, or they love strategies, share SOAR with them. We got to get the word out about SOAR, because SOAR is different. Remember, SOAR is completely unique to Monarch. And that R, that revise and refine, that takes us to the different level, a next level piece that we really believe in, that students really need to build into their writing routines. So SOAR is worth looking into. SOAR is worth practicing and teaching directly with students over time. So you can find out all about Monarch by going to our website, monarcheducationalservices.com. And I just thank you for supporting me and my small business. And I want to leave you with this. Let the wise listen and add to their learning, and let the discerning get guidance. And I'm learning with you. So Proverbs 1:5 is not just for my listeners out there, it's for me too. And I just truly appreciate all of you taking the time to be with me today as I've shared. So subscribe, like it, comment, share. All right. You guys have a blessed day. Bye.